Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Public Utilities for the City of Santa Rosa to order. We may have a roll call, please.
Board Member Wright is absent. Board Member Mullen?
Here.
Board Member DeWitt is absent. Board Member Bartholow?
Here.
Board Member Badenfort?
Here.
Vice Chair Arnone is absent, and Chair Galvin?
Here.
Let the record reflect that all board members are present with the exception of Board Members Wright, DeWitt, and Vice Chair Arnone.
Thank you. Item number 3 on our agenda is the oath of office for returning members Badenfort and Bartholow. So if you would, ladies would join Ms. Montoya, she will issue your oath.
All right. I, Robin Bartholow.
I, Robin Bartholow.
I, Lisa Badenfort.
I, Lisa Badenfort,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Welcome back, ladies. Glad to have you still on board. If you desire, we'll give you a few minutes if you want to make any comments. Not required, it's up to you.
just a thank you, and it's an honor to continue to serve on behalf of Council Member Caroline Benuelos, and to work alongside a staff and a department that is so fantastic, doing such spectacular things for our city, important things for our city. So I see my role as always one of the biggest support people in the room. So thanks so much.
Ditto, except for Councilmember McDonald. Thank you for the reappointment, and I appreciate so much the work that is done here, and it is an honor to continue.
We're honored to have both of you still with us, so that's great. At this time, I'll open up for public comment on item number 3. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one. Any statements of abstention by board members? Okay. We have no study session. The minutes for February 6th were in your packet. At this time, we'll open up for public comment on the approval of the minutes. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one, the minutes will be approved and entered. We'll move to item 7.1, which is our staff briefing. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our staff briefing is an update on making water conservation a California way of life, regulations, and water use efficiency targets. And Lisa Cuellar, our soon-to-be new mom, will be making the presentation.
There we go. Perfect. Can you hear me? Great.
So good afternoon, Chair Galvin, members of the board. My name is Lisa Quaylar. I'm the Water Use Efficiency Coordinator. And today I'll be covering the Making Conservation a California Way of Life new regulation that just became effective January 1st of this year. And I'll be talking or providing an overview of the City of Santa Rosa's compliance with that regulation. So I thought I would start just with some background, providing a legislative timeline on why we're here. Way back in 2016, some of you might recall the year prior, we had a snowpack that was measured at 5% of average for the state, which was one of the lowest measurements ever recorded in the state of California. And following that, Governor Brown at the time issued an executive order, which he referred to as Making Conservation a California Way of Life. Immediately following that executive order, an implementation framework was published with stakeholder feedback and agency feedback from the Department of Water Resources and others. So with that package, in 2018, the California State Legislature felt empowered to then issue 2 bills referred to as SB 606 and AB, that should be 1668 on the screen. What those bills were intended to do was to set new regulations for water use impacting both the urban and agricultural sectors, and also to expand authority for enforcement to the Department of Water Resources and the State Board to enact those regulations or enforce those regulations. Thus launched a public process for rulemaking that was led by DWR, and in 2022 the Department of Water Resources then proposed their regulatory recommendations with stakeholder input, and at the same time new Governor Newsom released his California Water Supply Strategy, and in there he said, specifically targeting water conservation, the goal was to achieve 500,000 acre-feet savings annually across the state. And so the regulations and the state strategy were just working hand in hand, essentially. After those recommendations were released, then the State Board took the Department of Water Resources recommendation and packaged up their own recommendations with a few modifications. Again, there was a big public process for that rulemaking. Fast forward to July 3rd of 2024, the regulations get approved by the State Board, and here we are today in the new year with the regulations recently becoming effective in 2025 of this January 1st, and our first reporting period, reporting requirements were met. We had to submit a report to the State Board on January 1st. And I thought I would share, this is what the State Board used to justify why the regulations were needed. There's a lot of numbers on the chart, but if you focus on the right-hand side, it shows what the business as usual, sort of passive conservation water usage would look like for the state in 2030 and 2035. But an analysis conducted by the state showed that with the regulations in place, starting as early as 2030, we could in fact meet that the governor's goal of 500,000 acre-feet reductions, and that would persist into 2035. So now, what does this look like, the regulation, what does it look like for implementation on a city level, or for retail water suppliers, I should say? The adopted regulations set what is called an urban water use objective. This urban water use objective was a departure from other enforcement measures that had been enacted during times of drought emergency, where the state said, okay, everybody has to save 20% across the board. There were a lot of folks that were not pleased about that because, like the City of Santa Rosa, we've been investing in conservation and efficiency for decades. Our margin to conserve was a lot smaller than other folks who hadn't made those types of investments and had a lot to conserve. So 20% was a really steep goal, and we felt like it wasn't necessarily fair. So the state came back with this new reg and said, okay, We're going to tailor an urban water objective to every water supplier, urban water supplier in California. It will be calculated every year. It's the sum of the usages that are pictured in the graphic above. So the objective is comprised of residential indoor and outdoor water usage, commercial outdoor usage, distribution system water losses, also known as non-revenue water loss, and there's an adjustment for special uses within a service area. And the objective that gets calculated on an annual basis cannot be exceeded, or there are enforcement measures that would follow from the state. And I wanted to clarify a point about enforcement. So any type of enforcement order or penalty/fine that would be levied at the service area level. So it'd be levied upon the water provider, in this case, City of Santa Rosa, and not individual customers. So when this rule, when drafts of this regulation were circulating in the media, was talking about it, we were getting a lot of calls with folks saying, oh, so that means I'm going to have to take fewer showers or shorter showers, or I can't run my dishwasher and my take a shower at the same time. And we had to reassure folks that the penalties, again, would be levied at the supplier level. We're not going to penalize, the state's not going to penalize individual customers. So how did the city fare with our first reporting period, which covered the fiscal year 23-24? We did very well. The city was under our water use objective by nearly 40%. That was really impressive, probably one of the best reports submitted by a supplier of all the suppliers across California. I think I'll explain why, what I think contributed to that really good performance overall, our actual usage compared to the objective. That being said, I wanted to flag that the objective is a moving target. It does become progressively more restrictive over time. So for example, last fiscal year's objective was calculated with an indoor standard for water usage set at 55 gallons per capita per day. In the next fiscal year, that's going to get ratcheted down to 47 gallons per capita per day. And in 2030, it will go down to 42 gallons per capita per day. But because the city is performing so well so far, we're hopeful that, and provisional data does show that even over time with the more restrictive regulations, we will likely still be significantly below the objective, which is commendable. So I would like to believe that part of this success can be attributed to the city's sustained investments in water use efficiency. I represent the water use efficiency section. We have a $1.5 million annual budget, and that funds 5 full-time employees plus interns that rotate out every year and a half to a couple of years, and they support a lot of the field work. But since 1990, the total investment has been $30 million. We've leveraged some of that money to apply for state and federal funding. That funding has been used to do things like replace 58,000 toilets across our service area with high efficiency toilets. We've converted 4.3 million square feet of turf grass into more sustainable landscaping models. And in total, our per capita water use has declined by 50%. And another key point there is that our water use has declined per person despite population growth over the last few years. So again, really impressive. Just as a friendly reminder, we continue to offer rebates and incentives and services for our customers that target efficiency both indoor and outdoor. These listings are for our indoor residential and commercial customers. And then we also have a nice menu of services that we offer for outdoor water savings, both indoor and, residential and commercial customers can apply. And we see lots of uptake in all of these programs throughout the year. That's what our staff is busy working on and supporting and helping to reinforce amongst our customer base. Take advantage. We have really good programs. And so before I end, I also just want to provide a brief update on the Urban Water Management Plan. This is a plan that gets submitted every 5 years. It's a requirement. The report gets submitted to the California Department of Water Resources. It's used as a planning resource to ensure that we have adequate and reliable water into the future. Usually it's a minimum of a 20-year planning horizon that's evaluated every 5 years. The plan is also required in order for the city to apply for state-funded grants and to apply for drought assistance when needed. So we are working on prepping this report now. It's a pretty big lift. We have hired EKI Water and Environment Incorporated to work on a water demand analysis and water conservation measure update. This was a competitive bid solicitation that went out. EKI actually won this work 5 years ago with the previous urban water management plan submittal. The cost of the project or to conduct the analyses is about $550,000, but the cost is steep because we have 9 other Sonoma water contractors who are participating or who are also going to receive these professional services to get their own tailored water demand analysis and water conservation measure update, which will then be folded into their urban water management plan. So it's a regional effort. We project manage the work. Claire Nordley does in the water supply group. And we've already kicked off, we've had our kickoff meeting. We're in the data collection phase right now, and the analysis will happen the spring through the summer, and then the findings will be folded into the urban water management plan, and we will certainly keep you all up to speed on how that's looking. We fully intend to submit the plan on time, which is January 1st of 2026. And with that, I will take any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. I'll open up for any board member questions or comments. Board Member Mullen?
Thank you. Thank you for that update. It's really refreshing to see the progress that the city, not just the progress, the leadership that the city continues to show over the recent decades with their water conservation program, and the investment in that is obviously showing great results. A couple of questions. First of all, the new urban standards, is there a competing or a similar program for ag in the state? It's like a program of water efficiency standards and so forth for ag?
So I'm not familiar with any new set of regs that have recently that have tackled ag, with the exception of the, SGMA, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, but that's been in place for about 10 years, and that's more targeted to overdrafted groundwater basins across the state, and so there's an impact to ag there. Director Burke, do you have anything to add?
The only other thing I'm currently aware of is the agricultural water management plans. It's similar to the urban water management plan, and they do have some water use efficiency measures that they're supposed to describe. But in terms of a specific target, this is fully focused on urban, and I'm not aware there's a similar effort or target as the Making Water Conservation Way of Life is for urban. There isn't for ag.
Thank you for that. The reason I ask that is that the balance of the water supply and delivery in this state is largely on the ag side. They've always been historically the largest user. And on the urban side, it's clear with Santa Rosa is over the years, with all the investment in conservation, the elasticity of savings during crisis shrinks because people are living a different lifestyle, and they appreciate the water use and techniques that can save them not just water but money in their rates. And so I was just curious if there was more of a balanced approach to that, but I understand the politics of that too. So The only other question I had was relative to the various, I haven't read all the different things, but I get the mailers, and I actually read them because I think they're important. Front yard landscaping on new construction, there's been this effort to try to move away from front yard lawns, because typically, if you're like most residents, the only time you walk on it is when you mow it. And so is there an effort at the building or the development level on new construction to incentivize or require something other than a front lawn, which can be installed in a day?
So, thanks for that question. Yeah, it's a good point. So the state has what's referred to as the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance, and that is, it targets new and rehabilitated landscapes across the state. So anytime new construction goes in and there's going to be landscape installed, they have to meet prescriptive design criteria, and that prescriptive design criteria ultimately limits the amount of turf that can go in. So it doesn't completely eliminate it, but it significantly reduces the square footage that can go in. The same goes for rehabilitated landscapes above a certain threshold. I think for residential, it's, maybe I shouldn't throw numbers out. I think residential is 500 square feet and commercial is 2,500, somewhere around that ballpark. If you try and, if you have to pull a permit essentially to put in a landscape, again, the same prescriptive measures will be required under the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. And our planning department within the city reviews those plans, and they have to be approved. Sometimes they get pinged back over to our water use efficiency department for review. But yeah, so that does exist, and I think that's driving less turf being installed across the city when it comes to new development.
Great, thank you.
Other board member questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. We'll now open it up for public comment on item 7.1. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. See no one, that'll take care of this item. Again, thank you, and much good luck with the end of your pregnancy.
Thanks, I deliver in 4 days.
You're a brave woman to be here. Next, we have our consent calendar. We have one item on the consent calendar. I do want the board to know that we did receive one posted comment, but don't think we have to go any further. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Mullen, seconded by Board Member Badenfort to approve the consent calendar. This time we'll open it up for public comment on the consent calendar. If anybody wishes to comment, please move to the podium. Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Mullen?
Aye.
Board Member Bartholow?
Aye.
Board Member Badenfort?
Aye.
And Chair Galvin?
Aye.
Okay, the consent calendar passes unanimously with board members Wright, DeWitt, and Vice Chair Arnone absent.
Thank you. We have no other report items. We have, we'll move to public comments on non-agenda matters. If anybody wishes to make a comment on non-agenda matters, move to the podium. Okay, we're good with that. We have no referrals. We have no written communication other than what I reported on before. Subcommittee reports. Okay, I will make an announcement that we are, I'm going to be doing a reappointment of the various committees that we have, and you'll all get a memo from me regarding that, but just for the record, the City Council BPU Liaison Subcommittee will consist of myself, Vice Chair Arnone, and Board Member Bartholow. Water Conservation Subcommittee will be chaired by Board Member Badenfort and include Board Members DeWitt and Mullen. The Contract Review Subcommittee I will be chairing, and along with me will be Board Member Badenfort and Board Member Mullen. And the Budget Review Subcommittee will be chaired by Board Member Wright and accompanied by Board Members Bartholow and Vice Chair Arnone. So again, you'll get a memo from me outlining all that, and I appreciate all the work that each of those committees does and each of yours willingness to serve on those committees. So That's the subcommittee report. If there's any public comments, now is the opportunity to comment on item number 13. Seeing no one rise. Any board member reports? Okay, director's report.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. I just have two quick items for you. First, I wanted to let you know that we have a capital improvement project that has been working on connecting the geysers pipeline to our Delta storage pond. And that project is almost complete, and staff has started the operational testing. And it's a very positive outcome. This project is now allowing staff to use pump capacity at the Llano Pump Station, which is just across the street from the Laguna Treatment Plant, to fill Delta Pond, which is roughly 6 miles north of the Laguna Treatment Plant, while simultaneously continuing to supply Calpine's operation with recycled water. So really a helpful opportunity. We had some stranded pump capacity there. Why not use it to continue to fill our pond and deliver to the geysers and provide us with more operational flexibility? So I wanted to let you know that that's almost done, and it's good news. And then I wanted to give the board a quick update on discharge. We have now completed our third discharge for this wet weather season. And discharge ended this last Tuesday, which was 2 days ago, and total discharge for the season to date is 879 million gallons. And related to that, we have had to use 4,892 credits, and that leaves us with a credit balance of 12,394. So we're still in good shape. We are still a little high in storage levels, but I think we're in a good spot, and we'll see how the rest of the winter rains come in. And that is my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the director? Very good. We'll open it up for public comment on item 15. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one, at this time, I will ask Interim Assistant City Attorney Dustin Cooper to announce our closed session.
Good afternoon. We will be conferring with legal counsel in closed session regarding anticipated litigation and to discuss
Assistant City
initiation of
Attorney
litigation.
Cooper, if you could hold for just one moment, we are not able to hear you.
Okay.
Could you test your audio for me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay. Let me restart. Good afternoon. We will be conferring with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, and specifically the potential initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 or 2 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9, and that is one potential case.
Thank you. Before we retire upstairs, I will take public comments on item number 16. Seeing no one rise, we will now recess into closed session and reconvene upstairs in the mayor's conference room.
How are you? Good. Hey, how you been?
All right, we will reconvene the meeting of the Board of Public Utilities. And at this time, I would ask for a roll call, please.
Board Member Mullen?
Here.
Board Member Bartholow?
Here.
Board Member Badenfort?
Here.
And Chair Galvin?
Here.
Okay, let the record reflect all board members are present with the exception of board members Wright, DeWitt, and Vice Chair Arnone.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask Assistant City Attorney Cooper to report out on our closed session.
If we could
Thank
have
you.
just one moment. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, interim Assistant City Attorney Cooper. I didn't see you on our Zoom. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. There was no publicly reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you. We'll now open it up for public comment on item number 18. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one rise, that concludes our agenda for today. So we are adjourned, and we'll see you at our next meeting. Thank you.